A status check on the health of our beaches. San Diego is improving, but experts say there are still some trouble spots. An illegal fireworks ring bust. CAL FIRE takes action against a serious threat for wildfires.
They're coming in very torn because at some level they don't actually think they deserve to feel any better. They think they deserve to suffer.
Guilt, shame, and the major obstacles to treating PTSD. How local veterans are taking part in research to find a more effective approach. Film Out San Diego will take you to opening night for the LGBT Film Festival. KPBS Evening Edition starts right now. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Ebony Monet. San Diego beaches got generally good marks in the latest Heal the Bay Beach Report, but the report doesn't capture the complete picture. KPBS reporter Eric Anderson has details.
County beaches got good water quality marks during dry conditions, giving residents a reason to feel good about going to the beach. Heal the Bay's Ryan Searcy says the return of drought-like conditions and efforts to control runoff get the credit.
Mostly good news here for beachgoers. Again, try to stay out of the water during wet weather, but for the most part, give beachreportcard.org a check and make sure that your beach is getting a good grade before you get into the water.
No local beaches made the list of the state's most polluted. That includes past beach bummers, La Jolla Cove and Mission Bay. San Diego's South County beaches also got good dry weather grades, but Surfriders Gabriela Torres says that ignores the serious cross-border pollution problem.
My first impression is that we're incredibly shocked that this beaches in Imperial Beach are not on the bummer list. It's not a list that we would like necessarily usually for our beaches to be on. However, the sewage issue, it's really impacting the area and it continues to impact the area.
Clean water groups say that information is really the best piece of equipment that you can bring to the beach. Finding out whether or not there is pollution at the beach that you plan to go to, or finding out if it's a beach that's prone to pollution, whether or not it's open and facing the ocean. Eric Anderson, KPBS News.
A bill targeting a major source for beach pollution is making progress. Environmental advocates are behind the proposal to limit the use of single-use plastic straws. While the bill doesn't call for a ban, it would require customers to ask for a straw at a restaurant.
We need to take quick actions to prevent plastic pollution and encourage positive solutions to maintain a healthy ocean free of garbage and single-use plastics.
The bill passed the state assembly this week and is now being debated by the Senate. It would only apply to dine-in restaurants and not fast food, coffee shops, or other establishments. San Diego's mayor says he's lined up a deal to help expand the convention center. The city, Port of San Diego, and Fifth Avenue Landing project are all involved in the proposal. It involves the city ultimately buying leases from the port. The money needed to pay for the deal would come from a hotel tax hike, which still needs to be approved by voters. Horton Plaza and several other major malls have a new owner. The deal between Unibel Rodamco and Westfield formally closed today. The French developer is known for high-end shopping malls in Europe and paid $16 billion for the Westfield properties. Locally, the newly bought malls include Horton Plaza, UTC, Plaza Bonita, and Westfield, Mission Valley, and North County. Drugs laced with fentanyl are causing a growing number of deaths in San Diego County. So much so that the state health department is providing test strips for users to check their heroin or cocaine. KPBS health reporter Susan Murphy talked to UC San Diego's chief toxicology doctor about the dangers.
A lot of this crisis is because of fentanyl that's getting mixed in with a lot of the street products, and that causes people to die much more commonly than they would normally if they knew what they were using.
Fentanyl-laced street drugs are becoming a deadly problem among drug users in San Diego. The county's fentanyl overdose mortality rate in 2017 was 2 times higher than the California rate, according to health officials. Nearly 300 deaths in San Diego County were attributed to opioid overdoses, with nearly half involving fentanyl. Dr. Richard Clark is director of the Division of Medical Toxicology at UC San Diego Health System.
There's no doubt that the number of deaths have gone up. There's no doubt that the number of ER visits have gone up, although I don't have the numbers. And I would say that the vast majority of the problems associated with those is due to fentanyl in the heroin.
He's seeing the dangerous trend firsthand at UC San Diego Medical Center's emergency room in Hillcrest, where he estimates a 30% rise in fentanyl-related cases.
Most of the people that I see now that have problems with heroin are certain it's laced with fentanyl. And they feel like they're using the same dose that they've always used of heroin, and now all of a sudden they're having more trouble with it and having problems with toxicity.
He says the white powder substance is 10 to 100 times more potent than heroin. Even small amounts of the opioid can cause respiratory arrest. That's why the California Public Health Department is providing test strips at needle exchange locations across the state that people can use to check their drugs for fentanyl. Dr. Clark says drug users should also carry the opioid overdose reversal medication called naloxone.
That's a little bit like an insurance policy, but if you are using by yourself and pass out, it's not going to do you any good.
He says the best prevention is not using drugs at all. Susan Murphy, KPBS News.
The San Diego VA is looking at the role guilt and shame play in the treatment of PTSD. Researchers want to find the best way to treat people who may not think they deserve to get better. And a warning to viewers. This next story from KPBS military reporter Steve Walsh includes graphic descriptions of military trauma.
Not one bit.
Jesus Seineke dismisses his own injuries from when his Stryker vehicle was hit by a rocket-propelled grenade during an ambush outside of Mosul in August 2004. No, he says, look at his buddy. That's who was hurt.
We're shoulder and shoulder, and he takes a shrapnel or whatever, a ricochet to the face. So I injured my back and TBI and whatnot, but he got, he took a round to the face, to the jaw.
Skip forward 11 hours, and they're still in the firefight. Seineke's weapon is a .50 caliber machine gun nicknamed a saw. It can tear through a vehicle. At this point, he's running out of ammunition. That's when a car is barreling toward their position, and he was faced with a choice.
Opened fire on the vehicle, took out the engine block first, then the wheels, and then proceeded to lay waste to the inside of the cab.
Later, he found out who was inside.
An old man, a young woman, and 2 children in the back seat.
Tell Seineke he was under fire. Tell him he didn't know who was in that car.
You can hear that from anyone else, but I'm hearing that from you, but it's like death. It doesn't process the same.
Years later, all of those memories came rushing back when the county threatened to take custody of his son. He attempted suicide.
And those are the kinds of stories we hear from our patients, from the people who take part in our research every day.
Sonia Norman is the lead researcher for a nationwide study on the treatment of PTSD for veterans of Iraq and Afghanistan. They want to know the role guilt and shame play.
Start having problems with relationships and work and everything else.
It's something that Norman has seen since she began treating these vets starting in 2008. Split-second decisions can haunt these veterans.
It can complicate treatment a lot, partly because sometimes the next thing people tell themselves is, I did something so bad, and it means I am bad, and it means I don't deserve to feel better.
The study will look at the options offered by the VA to see which treatments work best, as well as which treatments the VA may consider rolling out nationwide.
Started treatment 2010.
Seineke says over time he's been able to get his own guilt under control. He was able to win back custody of his son, who's going into middle school, and he has a daughter. Now he counsels other vets who are struggling to deal with that one terrible moment that changed their lives forever. Steve Walsh, KPBS News.
I'm Judy Woodruff. In an interview about his new book with James Patterson, former President Bill Clinton addresses the Me Too movement and the actions of former FBI Director James Comey. Coming up at 7, right after Evening Edition on KPBS.
The Trump administration is including San Diego among the cities to receive new support from the Department of Housing and Urban Development. It will come in the form of Envision centers like the one that opened today in Detroit. HUD Secretary Ben Carson says these centers will equip people with the tools they need to be more self-sufficient. Carson also talked about an AP report that shows his proposed changes to HUD policy would raise rent prices by 20% for people in low-income housing.
The reason that we had to even consider rent increases is because we were working with a specific budget. And in order not to have to raise rents on the elderly and the disabled, or to displace people who are already in programs, that was the only option. Now that the budget has been plussed up, we have other options.
Congress still needs to pass Carson's proposal. No details yet on where the new Envision Center in San Diego would be located. Sunny, warm weather will stick around this weekend and into next week. Justin Pavic has details in tonight's forecast.
Well, the onshore flow breaks down over the course of the next couple of days. What does that mean for us? Less June gloom, more sunshine, and slightly milder temperatures. Well, we could have some changes as early as this weekend, if not then, perhaps into next week. All is quiet on the radar front right now from Oceanside to La Jolla. Again, on eastbound toward Mount Laguna and Borrego Springs. In fact, you can go all the way north to the Bay Area and be pretty quiet, and there were some clouds around. Notice no precipitation, so traveling along the 5. Also, Interstate 10 in good shape. And a quiet night, there will be some clouds, again, hugging the shoreline again, partly cloudy. Otherwise, we drop down to 62. And again, surrounding areas falling off into the 50s around Chula Vista, Oceanside down to 58, Mount Laguna down to 52. As you would expect, Borrego Springs, the warm spot, down close to 70. For tomorrow morning, clouds. Patchy fog toward the shoreline. Otherwise, lots of sunshine. San Diego topping off at 74. Borrego Springs back into the triple digits. Drought monitor still has, again, us into the moderate to severe drought category. Of course, June often a very dry month. So, again, running a little bit behind on schedule from previous months. Notice the dip in the jet stream here well off toward the north, and that'll keep most of the cool air away. We'll start to see a bit of an onshore flow returning as we venture into the weekend. Now, the Padres away over the course of the next week and a half. Check out the coastline and notice the temperatures here about the same, mid to upper 70s as we go throughout the next couple of days. Low clouds and sunshine, clouds breaking, bit of an onshore flow as we venture into early week and then breaking down again by midweek. Very similar look and feel to the air. And again, the sky, as we talk about inland locations, mid-80s, abundant sunshine, overnight lows into the 50s, and throughout the mountain peaks and the mountainous terrain, we're into the upper 70s to lower 80s, the warmest weather to come as we venture into Tuesday. And in the deserts, triple digits. That's the rule of thumb all the way into early next week. Lots and lots of sunshine, overnight low temperature right around 70 to 75. For KPBS News, I'm meteorologist Justin Pavic. Back to you, Ebony.
Firefighters have made progress on a brush fire burning in East County. The fire in Campo is now 30% contained, according to CAL FIRE. It broke out Wednesday morning in a backcountry area near State Route 94. Nearly 300 acres burned. Evacuation warnings were canceled last night. Firefighters have not given any details on the fire's cause. CAL FIRE says it seized nearly 50,000 pounds of illegal fireworks. The bus led to the arrest of 7 people over the past couple of weeks. This was all part of a 3-year investigation. Those arrested are accused of running an illegal fireworks ring across the state.
When you talk about a stockpile of illegal ordnance coming into this state from all over this country that piles higher than this state capitol, 4 semi-truck trailers full of what are essentially weapons of wildfire, not to mention huge potential disturbances in our community, we have to put our foot down and say, that's enough.
Governor Jerry Brown has called for more money in the state budget for fireworks enforcement and proper disposal. The Daily Show's Donald J. Trump presidential Twitter library opens in LA tomorrow. KQED producer Shiraz Sadiq chatted with Daily Show correspondent Roy Wood Jr. last week when the library made a tour stop in San Francisco.
So where are we today?
This is the Donald J. Trump presidential Twitter library. Everybody at the Daily Show, we sat around and we started looking closer at the president's tweets over the last couple of years. Everyone in our digital department started looking at ones, and you start noticing certain patterns. There's a lot of tweets where he's arguing with celebrities. There's a lot of tweets where he's trying to end people's careers. There's a lot of contradictions. There's stuff about policy. So when you really start looking at all of the president's work, you see, oh, well, this is an exhibit. You know, Barack Obama's all about books. Our president's all about Twitter. So we felt like the best way to give people the experience of walking through the brain of our commander-in-chief is to just put it all on the wall. This is all the people he's argued and talked trash about Jeb Bush, talked trash about Rod Patterson. Over here, those are the verified survivors. Those are people that he's talked trash about, but somehow they still persevered. And I'm not sure whether you leave this library feeling better about the country or more horrified, but you'll definitely feel something.
Earlier this week, ABC canceled Roseanne after Roseanne sent a racist tweet about Valerie Jarrett, comparing her to an ape. What was your reaction to that tweet and ABC's decision to cancel the show?
I was shocked that ABC made the decision to cancel Roseanne. I feel like the mistake we make as performers sometimes is making jokes off the stage. And this goes for any comedian. I just feel like the safest place, if you want to say something that has some edge, that really was a joke, that you really didn't intend to be taken that way, the safest place to say it is on the stage. Twitter's a trap. You're at the mercy of other people's interpretations. You have no vocal inflection, you have no performance, you have no body language, and it doesn't matter whether or not I agree with Roseanne calling someone an ape. I don't agree with that. But the safest place to even attempt that, it ain't Twitter. If it's one thing that Twitter has done consistently is chew up careers over stuff that's written.
Roy, you're the father of a toddler. What will you tell your son when he's older about what it's like to be a black man in America?
My son has to understand that being black is a gift and that sometimes it's a burden. You know, everybody goes, have you had the big talk? When are you gonna have the talk? And you know, they're talking about the birds and the bees. To me, the big talk is how to deal with the police and instructing my son on that relationship. It's something that I think about all the time, man, because, you know, being black is a job sometimes, and my son's got to know that he's on the clock 24/7.
We heard about the March for Our Lives in D.C., but there was another march going down all the way out in Helena, Montana. And out here at this march, people were taking a stand for the real victims of gun violence, guns.
For the Daily Show, when the March for Our Lives rally was taking place to protest gun violence in schools, you were actually at a pro-gun rally in Montana. What did that experience teach you about people who oppose gun restriction?
There are a lot of people who oppose gun restriction who are level-headed. Everybody thinks that someone, just because they want the Second Amendment, that they got 8 guns and 12 Rambo bazookas in their back pocket and they're all lunatics. There were a lot of level-headed people that were just making arguments for wanting their guns, and I think that the problem is that we only hear the extremes in one another. And I was very happy that I went to the pro-gun rally and had an opportunity to talk to these people. And don't get me wrong, there are a lot of people who are pro-gun who, in my opinion, are out there. Anytime you think a kid that got shot at a high school is a paid actor, there's something wrong with you, period. But the problem is that people who will call a Parkland kid a crisis actor overshadow the level-headed people who go, let's tiptoe into legislation. I'm open to legislation. Let's figure out a way to legislate this without it getting out of hand, because it is a slippery slope. It was dope to be able to get to Montana to talk to those people.
What's the challenge of tackling these difficult subjects such as racism and gun violence through comedy? Is there a risk, for example, of belittling these issues by finding humor in them?
The joke is never on the issue. The joke is on the argument and the prevention of it. We would never tell a joke about someone getting shot, but the joke is on how do we keep this from happening and who are the people that are keeping this from happening again. And I think that's where the humor is. And I think if we can laugh about it, you're more willing to talk about it. And if you're willing to talk about it, then you're closer to a solution. So I feel like the jokes have to happen.
How do you decide what stories to cover on The Daily Show?
The Daily Show, that's a whole nother world. Like, we'll look at the news and we'll try and find, if we can say something that we believe is different from what other shows are saying, then we'll say it. And then sometimes it's just about figuring out what issues are important to us. You know, there's issues where it may not be national news. I covered a story about some stuff that's happening on the Mississippi River with a boondoggle with the Army Corps of Engineers. Not a big news story, but it's something that affected people. It's something that economically and environmentally was ruining the country. And thankfully, right before President Obama got out of office, he changed it. I like to believe that my story is the reason that you're welcome, Missouri. That's what I tell myself at night before I go to bed.
Roy, thank you so much. It was great talking with you. Yeah, thank you.
Film Out San Diego begins tonight in North Park. The 4-day event is a showcase of films from the LGBT community. The observatory is hosting an opening night event. KPBS reporter Beth Accomando is there with some of the filmmakers and organizers of the festival. Hi, Beth.
Hi. I'm here at Film Out San Diego, which is celebrating its 20th anniversary, and I'm speaking here with the programmer, Michael McQuiggan, who's been doing this for 14 years. But how does it feel to be celebrating the 20th anniversary of Film Out tonight?
Oh, I'm ready to slit my throat. No, I mean, we're excited. 20 years is a significant milestone. The festival is 4 days this year. We have 45 films. We have world premieres, several world premieres, U.S. premieres. We have several short tracks. We have lots of filmmakers, Q&As, some amazing parties, and it's going to be a fun weekend.
And Caleb Nicola is the executive director. This is opening night, so what's going on for opening night?
We got a great night planned tonight. We have our opening night film, Ideal Home, which is a really fun, heartfelt comedy with Paul Rudd, starring Paul Rudd and Steve Coogan. Directly following that, across the street from the theater, is an after party we're having with about 15 different local San Diego food vendors, liquor sponsored by Anheuser-Busch, and wine and other fun things as well. We've got a live DJ, silent auction here with a lot of great items to help raise funds for the opening night, and it's going to be a good time.
All right, great. And we have a filmmaker here, Paul Detweiler, who is returning to Film Out, and you have a documentary on San Diego's gay bar history. So what is it like presenting that here at the 20th anniversary?
Well, it's a great experience to be here, playing in front of the home court in the great North Park Theater, and I'm just really grateful for the opportunity to tell this part of San Diego's history.
And how long have you been working on this documentary?
Oh, since November 2016, so a year and a half.
And this has a lot of archive materials in it, so how difficult was it to find a lot of these photos and videos of San Diego's gay bars?
Well, I found a lot of those images at the San Diego Lambda Archives, which is the repository for the LGBT materials for the San Diego County and Tijuana area. And I also had to go a little bit farther north to San Francisco to the Gay and Lesbian History Society, as well as the San Francisco Public Library for a little bit of more materials. But it was fun. That was part of the fun, doing the sleuthing to track down those images.
And what inspired you to do a documentary about this?
Well, a lot of my work is based on themes of memory and sense of place. So, and also I had done a prior doc about a gay couple that has been together 65 years. And so when I was just listening to them talk about how their bar experiences were for the last 6 decades, that really was interesting. And also, I know that this topic is very expansive and it has a lot of resonance in the LGBT community because of the centrality of the bar culture to a lot of modern urban gay community. So, and also, for the younger generation too, to know a part of their history and have their sense of place here in San Diego.
And when you were putting this documentary together, did you uncover any really interesting facts or something that you didn't know about?
Well, I was really surprised that there were so many gay bars at the beaches. Even Ocean Beach had a gay bar, and in the 60s. And I learned a lot about a lot of interesting people, a lot of whom we interviewed. They did a lot of amazing things back 30, 40 years ago for the community, and so I was really, that really impressed me, that just their dedication to the community and how they added to the history of the region.
And if people want to come and see your documentary, when is it screening here, and are you going to be here for a Q&A?
Oh yeah, it's going to screen here at the North Park Theater on Sunday at 1:15, And also it'll be broadcast on KPBS on Thursday, June 14th at 9 p.m. and on Monday, June 18th on KPBS 2 at 9 p.m.
And now that the documentary is finished, what do you feel most proud about?
Well, I guess that I got it done on deadline. Well, I'm really happy and grateful for KPBS for that experience to put this together, for their support. And I guess I'm proud of my crew. They all did a great job. And I guess I'm kind of proud about San Diego's history here, like learning more about it. And just, we didn't have like riots and things like LA and San Francisco and New York. But we, in our own way, here, a lot of things happened to push forward with gay rights.
Thank you very much. I'm here at the North Park Observatory where Film Out San Diego is celebrating its 20th anniversary. The festival runs through Sunday, and you can come down here and see more than 45 films. The closing night film is Anything. I'm Beth Accomando, and I'm here at North Park Observatory.
You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night.